What's up, Star Wars nerds? And on this edition of Hyperdrives, I've got the all-new Black Series Droideka Destroyer Droid from the Phantommenace. This thing came from GameStop, and the box is very big. Some really cool artwork on the side. They always do a great job of the artwork. There's a look at the back if you want to pause and see the description there. It is number 4 in the line, and I do like the yellow used for the Phantommenace series. You can see my box came in pretty rough shape, but that's okay because I will be opening this up. Alright, so let's get this bad boy open. I always like to open my Black Series boxes from the bottom. It's much easier to preserve the box that way. Let's take this out, and of course it's got the standard shell casing there. We take that cover off, and right away I see that it's got a ton of these bands holding everything in place. Pretty rare to see that many for a figure, but this is a pretty complex figure with a lot of parts, so I applaud Hasbro for wanting to keep this thing secure in the packaging. It did seem a little bit of an overkill, and it took me forever, as you can see, to cut all of these bands loose. In hindsight, I probably should have used some thin scissors instead of trying to use this razor blade here. And they also have these ties on the back, and they're kind of looped. It's kind of hard to explain. I should have shown it better, but it's very hard to cut through those things and get everything through the little holes in the back of the shell. Alright, so I finally got all the bands off, and he comes out fairly easy from the plastic shell. Let's get those pieces out of the way. And before we try to pose him and everything, let's just take a look at the parts of this figure. And I gotta say right off the bat, the first thing I noticed that I like is the paint job on the metal portion, if you will, the outer shell portion, I guess you should say. It's kind of a maroon, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it does have a metallic finish. It's a little bit iridescent, kind of like a carbonized finish, if you will. And there are a ton of hinges with these parts. So many hinges, and it does seem a little bit flimsy. And I guess it's gotta be because this thing's gotta compact into a ball, right? And so they probably had to do that so it doesn't get too brittle and stuff doesn't snap and break. But it does feel a little flimsier than I would like it to be. But it does look good. There's some more of the back. There's plenty of mechanical type detailing going on here. I really do like the tubing. I think it works really well. And it is a slightly different color from the rest of that just standard plastic gray color. And his eyes are painted with a metallic silver and red paint as well to stand out from that gray. Alright, so here he is properly posed in attack mode. And he does look really good. He's got those little flaps by the hips that open up, and he just looks great. So let's try to transform him into ball mode. The neck actually slides out like so. You can fold these arms up and tuck them in. You can rotate the upper half of the body at the crunch, and the legs are curved a certain way, so you kind of know you've got to rotate them and to get him into that ball pose there. And everything kind of rolls up nicely. May not have those arms tucked in as far as I possibly could, but yeah, he's looking pretty good. It's nice and round. You can kind of imagine this thing rolling around. You may have to mess with it quite a bit to make sure you're getting it as truly compact as it possibly can. I could probably do a little bit better job, like I said, but it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with how compact he can get. So let's get him undone and back into attack mode. And it's pretty easy to do that. You just gotta unfold all the hinges. So it's not like complicated like a transformer might be, for example. Just got to remember to rotate the legs the right way in order to balance him. One thing that does still bother me somewhat though is how flimsy he feels, especially in the arms. You know, I can't really keep his arms raised. They keep kind of flopping back down, as you can see. Okay, quick update guys. The flimsiness in the arms is actually not a problem. The problem at first was that there are hinges there that were just too tight at first, and once I loosened them, they actually lock into position. So I just wasn't getting it into that locked position to keep them from flopping down. So no problem there. You just want to work those hinges a couple of times and then it works fine. And also the legs give out too. See how this kind of, if I put a little bit of pressure on it, that hinge will give out. So once you get him posed and balanced, you don't want to be handling him too much or those legs might collapse. So yeah, a little bit too flimsy overall, but I think he looks good. All right, so let's close out by posing him with various figures so you can get a sense of scale of the Droideka. Here he is with R2-D2. Here he is next to Jedi Mace Windu, and here he is with a Phase 1 Clone Trooper. Alright, so my take on the Droideka is that Hasbro did a pretty good job with this thing. Yes, it feels a little bit flimsy in places, maybe even a little bit cheap. I think it was probably necessary for the functionality of this thing to transform into ball mode, which was a must, but it does look really good, so I think Hasbro found a nice balance there of form and function. Thanks for watching.